Alright, fine! I'll talk about loser anime again. On one condition. Which I will detail after my sick-ass intro.
An exasperated mad hatted pumpkin, the exaggerated swagger of a white 20-something. His belly full of alcoholic rum gin. Vodka, beer, whiskey, shake it out, no vomiting. But his glass is not the truth of the matter. He look in the mirror, all he do is get fatter. Attracted to his money like cheese to a cracker, making shit videos, cause it's only manufacturers.
Alright, now that that's out of the way, I got a small preamble for returning viewers, specifically for the OGs from my first few hits on this platform. Skip to this timestamp if you don't care about all that, but if you're listening on mobile or something, don't hop ship just yet. I swear it's just gonna be like a minute. I have no intention on leaving y'all on a duology, and my third video ranking anime for bitchless versions will happen. Eventually. In the meantime, keep on the lookout for a spiritual successor video I'm working on now for Power Fantasy anime, where I take a look at shows with overpowered protagonists and harems filled with little girls to see which one is the least worst. You can expect that video to be out within maybe a month and a half's time. Do me a big favor and check it out when I drop it, because it's definitely going to be my most ambitious video yet, and I don't want it to flop. Before that though, I wanted to throw you guys a bone and talk about a loser anime I've previously covered on this channel, My Dress Up Darling, and specifically its second season. This tweet was what inspired this video. Feature: fan service is a necessity for the medium to thrive, like it or not. I didn't read this article, but I did read the quote tweets. The image they used for this tweet depicts Marin, the secondary protagonist and main heroine of My Dress Up Darling, a diamond in the rough of seasonal slice of life, fan service filled slop meant for dudes who pull no bitches and get no bread. While yes, it occasionally and unfortunately shows a bit too much underage TNA for my liking, it's still a great show. That's why when people took the opportunity to quote tweet and dunk on it while the original post was making its rounds, I got a little upset.
Leave my self-insert slice of life romantic comedy alone.
There are far worse shows deserving of this ridicule when compared to My Dress Up Darling, so I thought I'd glaze the show a little more than I already have in lieu of its second season finally airing. Said second season actually fixed a lot of the issues I originally had with the show's first season, and I can confidently say that MDUD has become one of my favorite romance animes of all time. Now keep in mind, I say that, but its competition isn't exactly stacked.
Too funny.
I heard you's a pedophile, nigga.
Now for new viewers, first of all, what's happening? It's your boy Dity. Thanks for staying this long. I wanted to say quickly that while I've covered this show before, it wasn't super in-depth, and you could still watch this if you haven't seen my other video on it. It'll be reviewing both season 1 and 2. Here with the show synopsis is re-edited footage of myself from 1 whole year ago. Take it away, 22-year-old me. For a brief synopsis of the show's plot, it follows the main leads Gojo and Marin. Gojo is a sheltered, antisocial guy who lives with his grandpa and never made a lot of friends due to his obsession with crafting clothes and makeup for Hina dolls. Marin is the popular girl, extremely outgoing, easy to make friends with, if a tad overzealous. The two meet, Marin's revealed to secretly be a degenerate who enjoys playing NSFW visual novels, yeah, I know it's stupid, shut up, and desperately wants to cosplay one of the main characters. She's a good time. Gojo, with his experience in making clothes for dolls, decides that he'll make the cosplay for her, to which an overjoyed Marin celebrates, and the two begin a partnership, friendship, and possibly something more. Dude, how did I get so chopped? I think it would be fitting to start this review on Dress Up Darling with something I alluded to at the beginning of this video, that being its fan service. It's no secret that Dress Up Darling is kind of infamous for being particularly egregious with its creep shots, and it largely detracts from the otherwise cutesy and wholesome atmosphere the show is going for. I can understand the hesitation in wanting to check it out for that reason. However, if I can give my opinion on this underage girl's boobs without getting outed as a creep, it's not as unnecessary as other shows.
Yes, officer. This man right here.
Let me explain. Whereas most shows will just show you an anime girl's ass or boobs in an attempt to enlarge your freaking peanuts, I feel like the fan service in My Dress Up Darling is a lot more nuanced than that. It absolutely has shots that are purely for the male gaze, and I'm not arguing that all of it is secretly super deep or something, but what I am saying is that it ties into the themes of the show really well, one of which being accepting yourself. Marin showing off her body is a sign of confidence, and it's this confidence that really helps Gojo come out of his shell and accept himself as normal. This confidence is challenged in season 2 though, and it's a side plot I actually really like. Marin throughout the show is shown to be a foodie. The girl likes to eat. I can relate. What I didn't expect though is the show actually bringing up the fact that because of her constant appetite, she's gaining weight. In any other show, the skinny girl eating a lot would just be treated as a gag and nothing more. It's so cool how fast her metabolism is, right guys? Well, not here. Marin getting a bit of chub takes a serious hit to her self-confidence, and while we, the audience, see her looking at what's a pretty normal body type, she's disgusted.
Hey, everybody. It's me, Mari Kitano.
I think it's a good time to mention that My Dress Up Darling, unlike a lot of anime made for lonely men, is actually written by a woman, Shinichi Fukuda. This puts a lot of the creative decisions involving the quote-unquote fan service into perspective. In any other anime, the incels and perverts in the audience would see a shot like this and think, holy freaking crap, dude, it's her panties. Oh, I'm about to bust. Meanwhile, everyone else would be groaning and rolling their eyes. With My Dress Up Darling though, it properly sets up that the focus on the scene isn't on how hot Marin is, it's about her fupa, small as it may be. It feels really organic, which is why I brought up the mangaka's gender. I think a lot of this may be from personal experience, and it leads to scenes that happen to feature Marin sexualized feeling much less like a wink and a nod to the camera, and more like a realistic depiction of a flirtatious girl who's confident in her own body. Now don't get me wrong, this show isn't devoid of going too far for my taste at times. The introductory scene for Juju, for example, is completely unnecessary. I also don't want to make the statement that just because a series is written by a woman, that makes egregious examples of underage fan service suddenly okay. I mean, just look at Demon Slayer.
No, the pickle jar. I can't get it open.
I'm just saying it's not as bad as people are making it out to be, and unlike most anime, in some scenes it actually takes advantage of showing you these risque moments. For another example, I alluded to the infamous Love Hotel scene in my first look at this show, and all these years later, I still think they're nuts for this. I won't go into too much detail, both for wanting to avoid spoilers and because I want to try to keep this video monetized, but the anime has the two main leads put in a very precarious situation, I'll put it that way. Any other anime would have included that scene for one of two reasons. Either it would have ended in an unfunny joke, like the main character getting slapped after grabbing a boob, or it would have been purely for, you know, jerking it. Here, it's used for relationship development. Within the first half of season 1, Marin is more than comfortable showing off her body to Gojo because to her, it doesn't mean anything. She hasn't developed feelings for him yet, and she's a naturally confident person. After this scene though, suddenly it becomes more than that. Suddenly it became physical. Marin becomes hyper aware of her body and begins to grow self-conscious of Gojo seeing it. To her, she wants herself to look perfect for him. She wants intimacy with him to be serious, not lustful. Past this point, their relationship becomes a lot more cutesy, and while I do wish season 2 had more of a focus on it, their presence is one of the best parts of the show. Season 2 tones down the fan service, and in its place, it shoves the message of the show right down your throat. When I first covered it, I wrongly stated that the message of the show was about art in general, and the lengths one would go to make it. While that's sort of a theme, it's not the main one, and I can see that now with the new characters and plot points presented recently. Amano is a male crossdresser who received persecution from his old girlfriend for dressing up as anime girls. Akira is a character who was shamed for her interest in comics and manga by her mother. Couple these new characters with pre-existing ones like Gojo, who was told all his life that his obsession with Hina dolls was weird and gross. I'm not sure how this flew over my head, but the message of this show is obviously to not be embarrassed of your hobbies and interests. This all circles back to that confidence thing I mentioned about Marin. While she's confident in her body, she's also confident in the things she enjoys as well, almost to a comical degree. She will walk up to a random person on the street and talk about her favorite sexy visual novel, completely undeterred. She's the lifeblood of this show, and a huge reason why Gojo is able to finally come out of his shell. Don't kill the part of you that's cringe. Kill the part that cringes. Pretty sure Aristotle said that. Anyways, this obviously really hits home with me, personally. It's not easy for me when I'm at work or something and an older coworker comes up to me and is like, "Hey, what do you like to do outside of here?" Like, yeah, I'm really going to explain to this 60-year-old man that I make YouTube videos about anime as a part-time job. Might as well tell him I'm an underground rapper too. I've always had this idea that if you're passionate enough about it, you can own it though, no matter how cringe it is. If you're looking for a show that really exemplifies that, My Dress Up Darling has you covered. Insert a joke about me being a Danganronpa fan here.
Wow, Nagato Kamado. I think it's time for an engagement check.
Enjoying the video? Here's your engagement check. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to support this channel and give commodity money to pay for insulin.
But why do I need to do all that? Isn't my view enough?
Viewing alone is great, but doing these 4 things pushes this video in YouTube's algorithm. And if you made it this far, here's this video's prompt of the day.
Hi everybody, I'm on my 14th energy drink of the day. Comment whether or not you think fan service ruins an anime or not. Thank you!
Cosplays are obviously the main hobby that centers around this idea, and I gotta give props to the mangaka once again for how deep she goes into the process of making and wearing them. The cosplay process is honestly one of my favorite parts about this show. It's super in-depth and teaches you things you might never know prior to watching. I always like when you can tell an author knows their shit. It's distracting when they don't. This very easily could have been a premise made purely to put Marin in cute, marketable outfits and nothing more. But this is a story that aims to teach the audience about the experience and maybe even get them to try it out for themselves. I mentioned in my first review of MDUD that one of my biggest complaints was the supporting characters. They felt very forgettable in some cases, or in others like Juju's, they actively detracted from my enjoyment of the show. Before you ask, I don't hate her anymore, but I do think she was unpleasant to be around in the first season and was pretty obviously lolly bait, which is kind of an automatic turnoff for me no matter what. Thankfully, with the advent of season 2, not only do pre-existing characters get improved, but the cast expands to include a lot more cooler characters like the aforementioned Amano and Akira, as well as my new favorite character, Woke Grandpa.
Pardon me. Sorry to bother you, but I need some assistance. Think you can help me?
Let's see what you got. You're planning to make this? To wear?
Yes, I sure am.
That was quick. His eyes, so pure and honest. Times have changed. Gender and age don't matter. We should be free to wear whatever we want. There's nothing wrong with this young man wearing a bunny suit. I'll help him.
With this in mind, I think the cast overall now is fine. Not like the best, but serviceable. There's enough cool characters here to keep me invested when the real stars of the show aren't on screen. Speaking of which, Marin and Gojo, they're as lovable as ever. Gojo's still my nonchalant king, and Marin's still an amazing deuteragonist to bounce off of. One of my favorite aspects of the show when viewing it for the first time was the relationship between the main leads, and I'm glad to say that it's still great. Admittedly, they're kind of dragging out the will they won't they thing that I initially praised for the show's lack thereof, but it's fine. It's probably for the best that the speed at which their relationship develops slows down a little bit. For my final points, I never noticed it before, but the animation is really cool to look at. Characters move in a realistic way, there's lots of weight behind their movements, and lots of cool camera angles. The lighting is kind of muted, but it gives it a more realistic vibe, which I can appreciate. I have to burp. The only thing I don't like in that regard is that if the show's going for a more realistic style and color palette, it is a little jarring when the characters suddenly become chibis, or hell, become mixed media. Admittedly though, Gojo and Marin becoming puppets for a minute was pretty funny. The soundtrack is great too. I was seriously sleeping on it when covering this show initially and should have written something about it. I particularly love the jazz tracks. It really sets the show apart from the other romance anime that tend to use the same cutesy pad synths and piano. There's a reason that 12 episodes with no season 2 is its own genre. Overall, if you're one of the people who read the criticisms about My Dress Up Darling's constant fan service, I implore you to give this show a shot in spite of that. Underneath it, there's a great message, amazing animation, an amazing soundtrack, cool characters, a fantastic romance, and it teaches you about cosplay to boot. It got me thinking, maybe I should start incorporating fan service into my videos.
This was a mistake.
And you know we run the city, bitch! How much I gotta pay for a titty pic?
Arigato for watching this video. And be sure to subscribe to Dity channel. That would be super sugar.